Hey, how's it going? It's Lawrence from the Performance Ranch, and today we are going to review core exercises, all right? There's a lot of things with core. Coach Brandon here is gonna be our model again. You've been probably seeing him in our other videos. So with the core, there's a lot of things that people think that you have to do with core. You know, we only see our front muscles, right? You only see that 6-pack, hopefully 8-pack, whatever for some people. But those muscles, people think that those are the muscles that are your core. And that is part of it, it's true. But anything that's core is anything that attaches to your hips. So that could be from your quads, your psoas, your rectus abdominis, which are the front, your obliques, the glutes, the hamstrings, all that stuff attaches to your core. So we're gonna work on core and mostly working on anti-rotation, anti-flexion, and anti-extension. So we're not gonna have him move his core, we're gonna have him control his core first before we actually add movement to it. Right, so the first one we're gonna start off with is a tall kneeling anti-rotation press out. It's a big name for a simple exercise. You get down to your knees, and we're gonna work on, just like every other exercise we've been talking about, working on the pelvis being neutral to the ground, being parallel to the ground. So the big cue I give to people is try to tuck your pelvis under you, get your belt buckle out ahead of you, and make sure your belly button is also nice and flat and engaged. Because a lot of times with this exercise, the typical pattern, somebody wants to kind of hinge back into their hips and get into the lower back. So we're actually gonna tuck the pelvis under us, get a little bit of action from our glutes. We're gonna start with the band right at our chest. So it should feel, pretty, you should feel a pull to your left here, but as I press out, that pull gets more intensive because again, that lever arm gets longer. And I'm really working and breathing to fight through my core here. I'll bring it back in, bring it back out. This exercise can be done via reps, it can be done via time. There's a lot of different ways to do this. We're gonna start with Brendan here. We're gonna do do it as reps because I want him to really not fatigue himself too much. And we're gonna start off with about five reps. So get down your knees. And we always do this. We grab with the outside hand, we put the inside hand over the top. We're gonna tuck his pelvis under him. We're gonna get nice and tall. So the cues I give a lot is imagine a string pulling you from the top of the head, getting tall. We're gonna pull that chin back. Good, we're gonna hold that band in your hand and go ahead and breathe out and press out. Hold it for about 2 seconds, bring it right back in, and again, press out. So as he does this exercise, I'm walking around, I'm making sure his body doesn't move. A lot of times when that pressure comes from the left, you'll see the body, which will go and show us what you'll see. You'll see it rotate, or you'll see a shift to the left as he goes out. You'll see that at times to try to compensate for the movement. So we're always making sure he's staying centered over his knees and over his hips. Good, so let's do the same movement, but now let's go with your left leg in front of you. So this is a half kneeling position. So again, all we're changing is the base of support, same exact load, same exact weight. He's tucking his pelvis under him. Going to tuck under you a little more. There you go. Other way, forward. Bring your belt buckle forward, so tuck your pelvis. There you go, yes, that's a challenging movement for him. Go ahead and step your left foot forward a little bit more. There you go. And now he's gonna lean heavy into that left side. Good. So same exercise, same movement, different base of support. Probably feels more challenging, right? Yeah. Good, and now we're gonna make it even more challenging, not by changing his stance, we're actually gonna just get him narrower. So we're gonna bring that left foot in a little bit more, even more. I want you to get all the way aligned. There we go, now do the same exact thing. So even more so, more challenge. Feel that? A little different, right? Yeah, good, that's good. All right, so you can see, same movement, same pattern, same position, but when you change the base of support, it really changes up what the emphasis of the exercise is and how much more challenging it is. We're gonna move that up to standing now. And again, standing, the next step is gonna be, we're gonna start off with a double leg stance. We're gonna be neutral through our feet, trying to ground ourselves through the feet. One cue I give to clients is to try to spread the floor out between my feet. So I'm actually engaging my glutes at the time. I'm gonna start right at my chest. I'm gonna do the same exact thing. I'm gonna press out, right back in. What I'm looking for is there's no movement at the hips. This is a typical pattern we see. We wanna just make sure he stays solid over his feet, all right? So we're gonna use the ground as control. I call it setting tension with intention. So start with your feet straight. Imagine you had skis on your feet. Get a little closer. Good. Now we're gonna bend those knees slightly, and we're gonna try to spread the floor out with your feet. There we go. You can see he automatically creates an arch in the foot. His knees are out. He's going to start at your chest. Pull those abs in tight. Shoulders squared up. There we go. Now breathe out and press out. There we go. And he's in this athletic base position. As you remember from earlier videos, Brendan's been a soccer goalie for the last, decade now or so. So this is a natural position for him to be in that ready position, that athletic position. And keep those ribs in a little tighter. There we go. That's it. Good. So do the same exact movement. We're going to step your left foot in front, right foot back. We're going to go into a split stance. This is kind of a high split. We like this position a lot. This is more athletic base. Going to reach out and press. Good. So now he's going to feel this whole left side really starting to work. How's it feel?
Difficult.
Yeah. And again, not necessarily changing the position of the hands. Let's go and step in with your right foot right behind your left foot. There you go. Now we're changing balance position. Good. How's that feel? A little more challenging? Yep. Good. And that's good. So again, we did a lot of left side stuff. I'll make sure for his homework he does more right side just so he can balance himself out. But we do these exercises before we actually add velocity and speed. I mean, the biggest thing people want to do is they usually come in here and they want to do rotational throws with the ball or something. But before that, they don't even have control of their core. So we really make sure they have control and they can work their hips, get their hips all the way through and control this pattern before we actually add some velocity and speed. We're gonna do a later video on that, so stay tuned for that one. So next thing we're gonna work on, since it's core, we're thinking about anti-rotation. The next one is anti-extension and anti-flexion, which is our biggest exercise we use is a plank. Planks are really, really good for this, from front planks to side planks to high planks. So let's just start on the floor real quick. All right, so before we actually get into the plank, we're gonna go into a bird dog first. The reason for the bird dog, it is a anti-rotation exercise because he's having to establish control from his foot, his knee, and his opposite hand. So go ahead and get down to all fours. So before we even start, we gotta make sure he has this pattern down. We're gonna have him take his hips, we're gonna anteriorly tilt, there we go. Now he's nice and flat here, pull those abs in tight. Brendan has very long arms, so this is why you see this pattern here, right? Which is perfectly fine. We're gonna now make sure he engages that core. One cue I give to our clients is try to spread the floor out between your knees and your feet and between your hands. So now that automatically establishes a lot of control from his hips and his core. So now we're gonna extend that right arm straight out in front of you with that thumb to the ceiling. At the same time, go and extend your left leg all the way back. Good. So you've seen this in another exercise with our bird dog row. But this is the base. You have to have this first before you actually add load to it. Go and do the same thing, but on the opposite side. Sometimes we'll do the same side, sometimes we'll do the opposite side, get those abs in a little bit more. Pull that rib cage down. There we go. Good. Again, with Brendan, it looks a little awkward just because of how long his arms are, that he's at a slope. Sometimes you'll see people a little flatter. This is perfectly fine. The main thing we're looking at, he's not getting extension from his hips, he's getting it from his glutes. There we go. So you should see the glutes start to work. You should see him push his heel back. There we go. Good. And he's trying to reach those arms up as far as he can with his range of motion he has in his shoulder. So again, it's all about what you have at home. If you can get your arm all the way up without having any issues with the neck or shoulders, great. But we're gonna work around those patterns. That's great. So that's the start. So that's the anti-rotation because your body wants to get moving side to side. So now let's go straight down to a plank. We're gonna go on the forearms. We call this a low plank. So palms are up, shoulders are back. Automatically he's lined up. We're gonna actually get into anterior tilt a little bit more. Pull that rib cage down. Again, we like to hold this for time. At the same time, I'll give him the same cues. Spread the floor out from your forearms, spread the floor out from your feet, get control. You shouldn't be able to push them around. Good. 20 seconds of this is really, really challenging to do. Go in and rest. Good. Sometimes you'll see people do these for minutes, right? But the minutes of planks typically are not done very well. You typically see a lot of people relying on a lot of pressure through the shoulder. So we're gonna do the same exact thing, but in a high position. So we're gonna do the high plank next. Again, these are all anti-extension, anti-flexion exercises. So we're not doing a crunch. Go and tuck your pelvis, squeeze the glutes now a little bit. There we go. Abs are in tight. Try to spread the floor between your hands and your feet. And again, same thing, I'm gonna give him a little push. You see how solid he is? Good, head up just a tad and chin tucked in. There we go. And just breathing, that normal breathing pattern is in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth, nice and controlled. That's good, Brendan, going to rest. Good. So the next thing after that, we go quadruped, we go low plank, we go high plank. We're gonna do side planks next. There's anti-rotation now. So go ahead and lie on your side. We'll go ahead and face the camera there. We're gonna start him off on his knees first, because this is a typical one. A lot of people have a idea of the position, but they don't understand what it should feel like and what it should look like. What I'm always looking at is a straight line. I'm looking at his ear, his shoulder, his hip, and his knee. And then later on, when he extends his leg, he's gonna have his heel in the same plane. All right, so it's gonna start here. We're gonna lift up your hips. We're gonna push your hips forward. Abs are in tight. We're gonna lift up even higher. There we go. And now we're gonna get his head down just a tad. Good, so this is the basic movement we like to start with. Just a side kneeling plank. Again, we lessen the lever length, makes it a little more achievable. Now we can even add some extension in the arm, engage the shoulders. Good, breathing deep, that's great. Go ahead and switch sides just so we can work on both sides. And now we're gonna do this side. We're gonna do the same exact thing, but we're gonna add a little variable to it with reaching his leg out, his top leg. So go ahead and come forward, abs in tight, head back. Now it's going to just lift up your leg and kick it out. There we go. So here's an easy way to add difficulty to it without making it too challenging that you don't have control. Abs in tight, there we go. Good, I'm looking at ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle, all in the same plane. Going to rest, that's great. Now do the other side just because I know that side's a little fatigued. And we're gonna do the full length now. Yep, stack up your feet. Good, abs are in tight. We're gonna tuck that pelvis forward a little bit. There we go. Shoulders are back, head is back. Good, so now you can see heel, knee, hip, shoulder, ear. Again, for the taller athlete like Brendan here, this is a very, very challenging exercise. Abs are in tight, get those pelvis forward a little bit. There we go, and rest, good. You notice how hard that was. You even see the expression on his face. Those are challenging. So when done well, when done right, these exercises should be challenging. So that's our whole goal, right? Challenge ourselves. It's not holding it for as long as we can. It's holding it actually for as short as we can, that we can really challenge our bodies to control that pattern. Because those patterns are at the base of everything that we do. If you can control your hips and your core in space, you can control any movement you do outside of here. Again, our whole mantra is live life beyond the gym wall. So the way we do that is we teach you how to use your core. The next exercise we're gonna do is gonna be a carry. All right, so we're gonna work on a carry here. There's multiple ways to do carries. We're gonna do the basic farmer carry, which is 2 hands, 2 weights. These are about 44 pounds each. So we're gonna get down. I like to teach people how to hinge first. We're gonna look at our hinge video. We go over this. We're gonna hinge back, we're gonna grab those kettlebells. Gonna stand up nice and tall. The first pattern I'm gonna have him do is get the pelvis to tuck under. I'm gonna stand nice and tall, posture, head is back. Again, I'm not trying to squeeze my shoulders back. I'm just trying to get tall through my head. And as I do this position, I'm working on grip strength as well, keeping those kettlebells away. And all I'm gonna have Brendan do is gonna walk towards the camera. I'll have him walk away from the camera, nice and tall. Ready? So let's go ahead and reach down there, grab those kettlebells. Good, you see he grabs into the hinge. Go ahead and grab it deep into the hands. First thing we're gonna do is imagine a string is attached to the top of your head, you're gonna get lifted all the way up. That automatically pulls him in good position. Let's go ahead and turn and face me real quick. You can see that position. Head is stacked right over his shoulders are right over his hips are right over his feet. That's good, Brendan. Go ahead and walk down towards the sleds there. I'm gonna have you walk right back. So we're looking at the position as he walks. We're making sure he's not swaying to either side, making sure he's walking in a nice straight line. His posture's up, he's deep into that grip. Again, this is about probably 90 pounds here. Probably good 65% of body weight or so. That's ideal. Ideal range of carries, what is kind of shown throughout the world. 75% of your total body weight is what we look at. That's kind of the indicator of a nice strong carry. So just imagine me, I weigh 200 pounds. That's gonna be 150 pounds divided in 2 hands. So 75 pounds per hand. So as I walk, I should be able to hold and control that, and ideally we should be able to do that for 45 seconds straight. That's kind of what our test that we do with our clients here. Go and try it for yourselves, but just going to go back to the carry. That's the base of what we start with. The next exercise we do is called the suitcase carry. So it's the same exact movement, except we're going to hold it in one hand. As we hold this in one hand, my body wants to go this way. I'm going to fight that from here. I'm going to get nice and controlled. I'm going to try to stand straight. I'm going to try to walk in a straight line, and the same thing going back the other way. All right, Brendan, let's have you try that. Reach down, grab it. Just stand nice and tall. Let's go ahead and work on that posture, tall spine. Let's have you walk towards the sled first. Again, we're looking at his hips, making sure they stay aligned. You can use that outside arm to counterbalance yourself. That's perfectly fine. Good, come back. There we go. Should probably feel a lot of core working, a lot of hip motion. Good. I'm gonna switch sides. Make sure we got both sides going. Good. Do the same exact thing down. Good. Get nice and tall. Again, that opposite arm is just getting used as kind of a lever point, so he doesn't lean over. Good. You probably feel a little more challenge on this side. A little bit more. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. So, suitcase carry. We start off with the farmer carry. There's other positions that we can use. I like to use that carry position as well, which is basically right underneath the chin. For some of you at home, this may be a little challenging on the wrist, so make sure you can get to this pattern first. And then I like to sometimes add nice and tall. So we'll go into a goblet carry position with the top hand. We'll hold on to this with the bottom hand. So now I'm getting a lot of control through that core as I do this movement. Let's try that, Brendan. So again, these are very challenging. This is a heavy weight right here. I'm gonna have you get underneath your chin a little bit more. Running through here. Good. Abs are in tight. Good. Just gonna walk down that way. Control that core. Tuck that pelvis. So now we're increasing the threshold. This is making it a lot more challenging. And that left arm is really having to work. His right arm is kind of staying stable. That's great. Good. How do those feel?
That's difficult.
A little difficult, right? Yeah. So there's so many other ways to do it. Sometimes we'll go overhead with this. You know, not recommended for a lot of people when you first start, but we'll start here. This is that carry, and the next movement is straight overhead. We'll do the same exact movement. We'll walk down, we'll walk back. Good, I'm not gonna have Brendan do that right now. But once you have great shoulder mobility, that's when you can add that reach. If your shoulders aren't too great, you don't wanna put your arms overhead because you're gonna put a lot of stress on that joint. So, I hope that helped you out at home. Hope you're able to see what we do with the carries and anti-rotation, anti-extension, anti-flexion movements. Again, we're not doing a lot of crunches. We're not doing a lot of rotational movements until you can master these first. Once this is mastered, then that's when we start adding a lot more of the ballistic and high-speed stuff. So if you're a golfer, if you're a rotational type of sport athlete, really any athlete, but rotational sports mostly, these are what we typically skip, and we try to jump ahead to the fun stuff, right? To the swinging a bat, to swinging a racket, swinging a golf club. But without this as your foundation, you're missing a lot of stuff you can do at that higher end. So if you can master this first, doing the higher stuff is gonna be way more beneficial for you. So try this stuff first. Please just subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can just click below. You can click like on our thing, comment below. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to see what you want to see next. So stay tuned for a lot more. Thank you for joining us.